Here we are again today. It's another edition of Unscripted Math. And as always, it's always a big conversation when the men sit to talk. Today we have a very interesting topic, and I have with me two gentlemen who really don't need any introduction here. But I'll introduce them once we come back. My name is Lorm, as always. Welcome back. So let me introduce our guests for today. They are really not guests because they own this table. But Mr. Mike,
Yep.
it's good to see you again.
Always a pleasure to
You're
be
welcome.
here. Many thanks.
How are the girls?
Well, they could do
Have you made
better.
have you made your choice yet?
They could do better, but I can't complain much.
All right, you're welcome again. First
Many
time,
thanks.
the last time we met was at Achimoto Mall.
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah,
time?
you're with your wife.
I'm always with my wife.
Yeah, now it's alone. You so rubbed in my face like that. Yeah.
Anyway, it's good to see
Good
you.
to see you too.
Welcome back again.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm
So, did you get to a point where you feel stuck as far as progress is concerned, your life, personal life? Do you get to that point where I said things are not moving? Do you feel like that?
it happens.
And I'm the only one who feels like
no,
that.
no, it happens to me a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a time when your inner man or your spirit being or yourself is expecting you to move out of a certain zone. So it sort of makes you feel uncomfortable in your comfort zone. It tells you that the time is up for you to move to the next level. So it's for every man to have that moment in your life, either than that you can move to the next level.
They say some interesting word. They call that thing in Akan atenka. You know,
Yeah.
you feel some atenka. Every time I hear that word,
Not the tough
But
so
you feel it within
you
you,
must
eh?
feel that.
Yeah.
That is that tells you that you're on an edge and you must move,
Yeah.
or you are done with that space.
The stage,
where-
eh?
Exactly,
Yeah.
the stage.
Yeah.
So you need to move to the next level. If you don't have that, then I mean that you grow to the own level.
Mistake. Do you think that as a man you should have a plan? Does it come with yearly plan, quarterly plan?
Well, it's not set in law, or it's not set in stone. Many people do not have these resolutions or plans scheduled, but they might have in their scheme of things to be done, even though if it's not really scripted. And so you do what best works for you. Some would have to outline things that have to be done in the course of a period. Others move with the flow,
Okay.
but they are so amiable.
Which one works for you?
I think I work with the amiability. Like water. If I come across stones, I guess
Just
run,
run around it,
over them. If I come across, so the impediments set in my way determine how I overcome them. And so I think when some find that when they set out to do this, write it down, it doesn't really materialize, as many have found with New Year resolutions. They quickly falter and then they give up. But if you hadn't set yourself up for that, you go as it comes. If I meet this, I handle it. If I meet here, obstacles at workplaces, I resolve it. If home challenges, I tackle it. Societal pressures, I endure it. So some people look within yourself, and this is what I always say. You recall I told you the other time that man, know thyself. So that if man, you know yourself, you know what best works for you. You know your mechanisms. And a good man said he is into bottoms, so much so that he avoids to see the bottoms and not be tempted. The wise man said that. So if your weakness is ladies with bottoms, you are guarded when you meet one, because you know your money will be going there.
Exactly.
So you make a conscious effort. Hey, hold yourself, man.
So you don't follow buttons
As
the whole 12 months of the year.
So then you have to tend to use the zip.
All right, that's a nice one. So how about self-worth? There's so much pressure on men these days. There's lots of bills to pay. You've got to live up with certain societal standards and all that.
It's crucial. It's crucial to add value to oneself. Any human you must put value to yourself, man or woman. But since we are dealing in our case as men, you can pursue formal education. It's an aspect or a way of adding value to your skill set, to yourself, to become productive in society. But we know that it isn't everyone that has the opportunity to pursue formal education.
And all that.
So if
it's
that
expensive these days.
exactly, so if that's not your way out, then put yourself through an apprenticeship. You know, it can be graphic design, it can be carpentry, masonry. Now, the curious thing I found out is that masons are charging anything between 80 Ghana cedis and 150 Ghana cedis by day's work. Now, a lot of the formal guys who have been employed are not marked 80 to 150 a day.
With their ties
and whatever. So it means that mason or that laborer has added value and is able to charge that money that even a so-called skilled person is unable to do.
But I think it comes to where you said that man know thyself, because having self-worth is knowing who you are and what and who you want to be, and that will actually inform the kind of value you must place or add to yourself. Like you said, you can't always, it's always a formal way. It depends on where you find yourself. So the mason will say, you know what, this is what's going on, this is the trend. This is the only way we can add value. So then they come together, form a consensus and say, this is how much you're going with for the rest of the period. I'm sure it's going to increase by next year. So that is they putting value on themselves. So when you know yourself and your partner where you want to be, then it helps you. It makes it very simpler for you. Then you are not under pressure, because then it's you, it's your wealth, it's your game, and you play it according to
you're sort of running your own race.
Exactly. And having multiple income streams is crucial.
Very important.
Lorm is crucial. So for my young fellows out there, even if you go through the degree program or the diploma program, try and learn a skill that can enable you demand for payment for service rendered. So even if you've gone through that system, still learn graphic design. Still learn.
Are you a graphic designer?
I did other things. I'm a voiceover artist.
Okay.
I'm an MC. I trained as a journalist. So I'm a trained journalist, but I'm also a blogger.
I'm not a graphic designer.
I'm a managing editor, a voiceover artist, and an MC.
Oh.
So I was able to go and add those things. You know, so because if you were to depend on one, you will find that in this our country,
you know the funny thing,
you'll be found wanting.
Anytime I hear the word graphic, it's newspaper that comes.
That comes to your mind.
We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Interesting conversation so far. Just loving it. Loving it. Let's see whether I can dig in some more.
Okay.
Where's the hole?
But how does our upbringing and the people we surround ourselves with affect?
That's one thing I always say. The people you live around, the people we see around us influence us a lot. And I believe that currently, unfortunately, with the trends going on, I feel we are not exposed to so many mentors. Because now it's like nobody cares about moral anymore. Nobody cares how anybody made money, how anybody made any stride, as long as you
have the money.
So it's quite unfortunate. It sort of affects us in negatively, because then you are like, by any means, as long as I can be celebrated, and that is very bad, and it's affecting a lot of the youth. But I think that it all boils down to knowing who you are and what you want, and then that's what guides you, and then also being very careful on who you select as your mentor, because you don't just see someone walking, you see the person driving a Benz, and then you say, oh, the person is driving a Benz, I like that person, I want to follow the person, because you should know a lot about
lots of Benzes in town these days.
You know what's amazing? The musicians say, pull up in the Benzo, I see a Toyota Corolla.
We are products of our environment. We are products largely of our environment, although some people are able to rise beyond the
What the environment
atmosphere,
dictates.
the limitations of the atmosphere. Nkrumah showed us that you can come from very humble beginnings and still hit high or aim high and be able to attain things that hitherto were unheard of from people of that environment. So there's that you can break through. We must also be guarded with our belief systems. So if you say you're a Christian, the question is, what if you were born in an environment dominated by Muslims or Buddhists or people of other faiths? Would you subscribe to that faith still? Or you are just a product of your environment and you go about disturbing, in quotes, or making noise about your faith system? Because if you had been extracted from this very system and had been implanted in another, would you have maintained your stand, your belief system? Or you would have been a product of another, faith system? So I want people to really question their faith and see if it is distilled. Would they still hold on to it?
Believe it. Yeah.
Would they still hold on to it?
It's like you're saying, if you're born into it and then eventually you are of age and then you know right from left, it's up to you to make that.
It's not that easy. It's not easy because the remnants are still there. Your mama, your grandparents, they've all been told that line.
See, one problem I have with that is that it's just like saying that I want to be this. It's easy to tell this person that if this is what you want, go for it. Why can't that affect religion? If I want to be an actor and my dad is saying you can't be an actor, but society is telling me that, yo, go for what you want, why can't saying be applied to what religion I choose? Do you understand me?
You know what I think? I'm going to pull the two of you in here again. Tackle this matter of religion. Okay, and how it affects our choices and societies, vis-a-vis and everything.
How are we supposed to read the Bible?
I can't should read or something. Well, we have a few questions and then we need to take care of some. But before we get to the questions, I've got one last thing I want us to understand. Okay. Are men threatened by successful partners? Do you think so?
If you're a man
should you feel threatened
in a heterosexual relationship with a woman? Would you be threatened if your woman is successful?
No,
you see,
no,
of course, you can't just assume that every relationship now is heterosexual. In the times we live in,
there are byproducts of every relationship.
in the times we live in. So that's why it goes back to you. What makes you feel threatened if you have a successful partner? Because ideally, all other things being equal, a successful partner will rub off you positively. If a partner is raking in,
it is not always.
I know, all other things being equal.
Okay.
If a partner is raking in 300,000,
she's going to school, she's upgrading and all that.
Exactly. Why should you earning 5,000 be disillusioned, be embittered, be angry, feel some kind of way? It shouldn't be, unless the principle or the elements in that relationship is problematic already.
Okay.
Oh no, not
because or the transactional nature of that relationship has not been well defined.
Because you see, problem is that sometimes you never know a partner will change
until they make money.
You understand?
Until they get an iPhone.
Probably you saw a lady with potential, and every man wants a woman who is industrious, etc. You see a woman who is industrious, and probably with the little, experience you have, you're like, okay, with this thing you're doing, add this, do that. With the intention that this is a partner I want to live with. Finally get to live with the person, and then this person is now raking in money. And all of a sudden, this person changes. So it's sometimes you can't control that. But then if that spouse changes that much, then yes, of course, you will be threatened, because it feels like you have wasted your time supporting someone you thought, let me just throw my support behind this person for a collective good. So if that is the situation, then of course you're going to.
Of course, if that even arises, if you have an ingrate of a partner, if you have a partner who proves him or herself to be a disloyalist, to preserve your sanity, and if you have the economic strength yourself, many people are in battered relationships because they do not have means of having a roof over their head by themselves.
So
If I leave, I'm going to leave.
because-
I'm going back to my mama's house, and you know.
Oh, yeah, but then if you know what you
or
want,
if
you're
I
not going
leave,
to
I'm going to
start.
sleep on the streets. But if you had a reasonable income and you are threatened, you are being beaten. You know, some people will hit your stomach and they will not leave any mark on your face. So you're boy, and to be who are BBI is okay.
Oh, boy, in
You know, obi who are Romanus,
Okay,
everything.
okay.
But Uyem in a crow,
behind the scenes, Romanus.
I don't get my experience.
So if you have the means, and one say, walk up a single room,
Oh, no, but
for the
then-
sanity of yourself, and so that you know, and we tell our women this always because they in our society
They
it's
better
reported
grounds,
more.
yeah.
Men also are abused equally, who are also unable to leave, but it's always largely about the economic strength. For you to die in that house, people are asleep in front of stores or in the open. You know, we have that. So, ube would Mr. Free. You know, you can build and then secure sanity.
I mean, if
so
you have that-
the incidences of partners who turn cold is always there. But if you yourself, your fundamentals are right, you will not be exposed.
So this is still Unscripted Men. I don't know how strong or weak your fundamentals are, but these gentlemen are sure telling us something this afternoon. Whatever the case may be, we'll be right back and we'll talk some more. Welcome back to Unscripted Man. Gentlemen, so tell us, what's that one thing that inhibits most men from self-development?
You know, earlier on we tackled issue of finding a bump in the road and how to recharge your energies. You know, just as any other thing with life, things will set you off track,
Yeah.
but you must find yourself back on the road and continue the journey. And so, act of God is a factor.
Life, as in life happens.
Life happens, your dad can die, your mom can die, you will not have a benefactor, someone who can finance your schooling if you wanted to add value to yourself through schooling. And those who would pay are no more there. We have so many people who had to become mates of even relatives because their parents died. You know, so that's a problem out of God can set in. Self-doubt. The person himself or herself can have self-doubt. Or in our case, as men, the person himself can have self-doubt and not believe they are good enough to, you know, take this course of action. And so that's why you need loved ones around you. That's why you need friends, you know, positive friends who would pick you up in your very down moments when you don't think you are worthy, you don't think you are good enough. People who speak life into your existence.
The way you are going, what,
But
you gotta call
I think one factor that is negative but also positive is fear. The fear of not making it can also help you, you know, fight to make it. And then also, for me, that really affected me a lot since I overcame it, procrastination.
Okay.
I'll do it later, oh, let me wait, I'm not old yet. When I'm at this age, I'll do it. Then you realize that you just, the next thing you realize, oh, it's too late too.
Yeah.
So I think for me, these two things, and with the act of God, that one, yes, one cannot, you know, you can't do anything about it. And then also, fundamentally, knowing yourself and what you want. The fact of not knowing
What you want.
what you want and your purpose is the biggest, give me a word for me. It's the biggest, you know, to actually preventing or stopping you from not
But
actually.
have you ever gotten to this point where you actually felt you can do this? That's a problem I personally have. Because I noticed that I'm good at
You are
so
good
many
at many
things.
things.
You know,
Specialization.
I tell people who are into that draw a three, and they know what's your root, what's the, you know,
Fundamental.
the fundamental, what's what can you do?
You guys want Baumia to come for me.
Exactly. So that becomes your root. And then the rest that come, and that are not too strong are like your stems and then your branches. So then you know that if I have to start developing, I have to start firming my roots. That's the one that's very strong in there. You develop that, and then gradually you develop the rest of the branches. If you're not careful, you'll be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
That's very important. I didn't know we had to draw in mathematics into it because factorization and factor trees up. Yeah. but that's key. That's very key. Okay. So we've got some questions here. I'm going to bounce back, you guys, and then tell me. I should ask him first. All right. So, Mr. Mike.
Yep.
Question number 1: do men really know what they want?
Some men do, some men don't. Just as
you.
I know what I want.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to be in communications, given that my maths was terrible.
You couldn't communicate.
So you should know what you want, and then have justification for why you want it. Because you can desire many things, as you said, but why? Why is this a need and not a want? Why is this key? And why can this be let go? So in everything, in pursuing your career path, that's why for career path, you need mentors. People who have been in that field or in the field for many years, have seen your kind. They've seen it through the 90s, through the 2000s. Yeah. So you come in, they'll tell you, look, I once had a mentee like you. He was very good in this. He didn't know where to specialize in. And then through negotiation, we negotiated, okay, if you do this. If you do this, so why don't you do this? And so finally he found himself, he found his purpose. Even with wanting or desiring a lifelong partner.
For me, I think every man knows what he wants, but the problem is going for
to get it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the only problem. Yeah. When you see it, you want it. You know that I want it. I need it.
Okay.
But then the getting it, that is the challenge.
So how do you work on that?
Oh, that's what we're speaking about. Knowing yourself and all that, developing yourself, having a good mentor, etc., etc. Right. Then that helps.
First, have you ever met a woman you wanted? How far did you go to win her?
Me, if I like you flex me, I'll go.
There's no time to wait.
Okay. Sometimes you tell a lady you like her, and she's like, oh, for me, it's an occupational hazard. Okay. Because you tell a lady you like her, and she's like, oh, it's one of your comedies. So
they don't take you serious.
Not at all.
Please bring him a handkerchief.
That's how they know coaching stage. So, yeah, so sometimes if you see that this person is trying to use your occupation or your career as
a shield,
then
you move on.
Yeah, I'm flexible. I'm flexible.
Okay.
But then I remember one time I liked this lady and she was like, I was kidding. I said, no, I'm serious. So I had to actually call her consistently for 2 years.
Whoa! Just to prove that.
Okay. Yeah. And then when she agreed, I said, I'm not interested again.
That is something we should talk about.
Oh yeah, it's a true story. I did.
What was it? A payback?
I intentionally did.
Yeah.
2 years.
It's a lot.
Those times the 75 credits.
You'll be
I used to buy them. Said now I'll speak with them for the entire period. That's
the 75 will be on.
Yes. Wow. 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot.
And then I dreamt one time also in my dream she was there. I wedded her, and then during the wedding, when the pastor asked me, "Do you take her as a lawful wedded wife?" I said, "No." And I opened my eyes. I'm sure she's crying in my dream right now.
I'm going to have a section on people who leave partners at the altar. I'll bring you in. All right. Thank you so much. It's been another wonderful conversation here on Unscripted Man. Today we had with us to talk about this subject, Mr. Mike and Foster
Romanus,
whose name has a nice joke to it. I can't share here.
Oh, God.
Thank you for joining us once again. I'm Lorm. See you again next time.